Hey guys, welcome back to Freckle Face Finance, where we discuss personal finances open and honestly so that you can live the life that you deserve. So today we're going to be discussing how to build a solid retirement plan in your 30s and 40s. And despite what the internet people are saying, despite what all the blogs are saying, it is never too late to start saving for retirement. So even if you're not in your 30s or 40s, you might be in your 50s, maybe even 60s, it is never too late to start saving for retirement. Any little bit counts. And so it's never too late. In fact, contrary to popular belief, you don't even need $1 million to retire. So it's really going to be subjective on what your retirement goals are, what your cost of living is, your expenses. All of that's going to factor into your retirement. So don't think that you need a huge lump sum in order to retire. You just need proper planning. So the main purpose of this video is to let you guys know that retirement planning starts wherever you are. So if you have a ton of debt, retirement planning can start there. If you've already paid off your debt and you're more interested in investing, retirement planning starts there. But there are 5 steps that you can take to try to increase your chances of financial success when it comes to financial planning for retirement. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first step for building a solid retirement plan in your 30s and 40s is to use your credit wisely. And so I personally would never recommend someone just stay completely away from credit. I do think that it's necessary in the capitalist society that we live in. The key is to make sure that you're using it wisely and not frivolously spending. And so the reason that using credit wisely is on the list is because if you don't use credit wisely and you don't have a good credit score, you will actually pay more for things than people who do have a good credit score. For example, if you're purchasing a car and you have great credit, you may receive a 3% interest rate on that car loan. As opposed to someone who does not have good credit, for the exact same car, the exact same loan, they may be paying a 9% interest rate, which will increase the total amount that you pay for the exact same car that someone with good credit has. Another reason that using credit wisely is on the list is because high interest rates that tend to come with credit cards will just eat away at any gains that you make when you're saving for retirement. And so one of the ways that you can do that is to make sure that you live within your means. Don't fall hype to the lifestyle creep. So if you do have credit cards, a great tip will be to make sure that you're paying off your balance at the end of each month. So paying off your credit card balance in full at the end of every month is great, but that's not the case for everyone, myself included. And like I said at the beginning of this video, retirement planning starts wherever you are. So if you have a balance on your credit card, just make sure that you have a plan to pay it off. You can't just ignore the problem and think that it's gonna go away. So make sure that you have a plan. So the second step, which is closely related to step number 1, is to not let your debt weigh you down. So step 1 and 2 really go hand in hand, because if you're not using your credit wisely, chances are you're in debt. And this debt doesn't necessarily have to be credit card debt. You can be in student loan debt, you can be in child support debt. There are a plethora of different ways that you can be in debt that aren't even related to credit cards. So don't let debt be the thief of your retirement. Something that I feel like is so preposterous is when people are in debt and they just think, just add it to my tab. No, quit adding things to your tab. Make a plan, make a budget, stick to a budget. So chances are, if you just hunker down for 1 to 2 years and just live a very disciplined life, I bet you can pay off your debt. I bet you can pay off your debt. So don't let debt be the thief of your retirement. Be disciplined. You can do it. So the third step into building a solid retirement in your 30s and 40s is to pay yourself first. Pay yourself first, pay yourself early, pay yourself often. And what I mean by that is the more time that you have to save for your retirement, the better off that you'll be. And so if you're new to the finance side of YouTube, I'm gonna go ahead and break those terms down for you. So when I say pay yourself first, that means set aside automatic transfers into your savings account or investment account. So before you get paid, before your money hits your bank account, it should automatically be dispersed to a savings account or an investment account. That's what I mean by paying yourself first. And so whatever is left with that money, that's what you start budgeting with. And so this will really ensure that you're living within your means because you've already taken a chunk out to save for your retirement. And so I have been using this strategy for years and I 100% would recommend. I think that it is the best strategy to have your money just automatically go to your savings and investment accounts. And honestly, you don't even miss it. It's like you're not even budgeting or planning for it because you don't see it. It's just automatically put into a different account. And so this goes hand in hand with the save early and save often, because saving early, that refers to the amount of time that you have to save. And so this is when compound interest is going to step in and just exponentially grow your account. With compound interest, that is when your account gains interest on the interest. So for example, if you put $10 into your account and you've gained an interest of $10, and so now you have $20 in your account, and then you gain interest on that $20 instead of the original $10. And so that is my attempt to try to break down compound interest in its most basic form. If you still don't understand, I'll put like some language down at the bottom so you guys can check that out. But pretty much your account is gaining interest on the interest. So with compound interest, the longer that you have your money inside the account, the more that time is working in your benefit to be able to create interest within that interest within that interest. So I hope that that makes sense to you guys. And so the last piece of that formula is to save often. So the more often that you save, i.e. every paycheck, the more likely that you are to make those bi-weekly deposits or monthly deposits, which will better allow you to take advantage of the compound interest. So in addition to paying yourself early, and paying yourself often, you also need to be taking advantage of your company's 401k plan if they have one. So more times than not, a company will have some sort of incentive for you to save for your retirement. This is often referred to as the company's match, the agency's match, 401k match. It's typically going to be somewhere between 2, 5, and some companies, y'all, I done seen 8%. And so what that means is that when you're putting into your retirement, your company is matching your contribution up to whatever percentage that they have to match for. So I know a lot of people who watch my videos are federal government employees, and so this is referring to the TSP program, and the federal government matches 5% of your salary. So for example, if you make 100K, you're very, very lucky. But if you make 100K and you put in 5% of your salary, which is 5%, then the government will also put in 5%. And so not only are you putting in $5,000 a year, but now you're getting $10,000 because the agency is also matching your 5% that you're putting in. You're literally getting free money. I can't think of a single reason why you wouldn't do it. Not a single con to doing it. So if you're in a position where your company is offering you a 401k, sign up. There's zero cons to signing up. So make sure that you do that. So if you're unsure if your company has a 401k program, you should be able to reach out to your HR. Also, smaller companies where you may not think that they have a 401k program, a lot of the times they will work with a third-party agency to offer those benefits to you. So you may actually have it even if you work for a small company. But if for whatever reason your company just does not have a 401k program or a 401b program, then you can always open up a retirement plan with whatever bank that you have. I personally love Schwab, but there are a plethora of different banks that you can open up a retirement account with. I'll put a link to a video of how to open up a retirement account with your bank, but you're going to be looking for something that is going to be either a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA. I'll also leave a video here so that you can see what the difference is, and more than likely, every case is different. If you are eligible and you meet the income restraints to get a Roth, then I highly recommend you get a Roth over a traditional. But that is a decision that you're gonna have to make for yourself, so just make sure that you research. Don't believe a random girl on the internet. Even though I'll try my best and I'll provide good information, every case is different. So speaking of retirement accounts, if you leave a job and go to a different job, do not cash out your retirement account. It is so not worth it. And I see so many young people do this time and time again. It is not worth it. First of all, you're going to pay taxes on the money. They're going to penalize you. So you're going to pay a penalty amount on that money. And by the time you actually get your money, it's not going to be no money there. So 9 out of 10, it is always going to be worth it to you to just roll it over into a new retirement account. 9 out of 10. Unless you're within that range of retirement age, always choose to roll it over. You're not gonna miss it. It has always been set aside for you and set aside for your future. So don't be tempted. Don't do it. So if you're watching this video and you're thinking, oh, she must not be talking to me because I have so much debt and I need to cash out my 401k and pay off this debt. No, I'm talking to you. Even if you have debt, cashing out your 401k it's not gonna help you. Like, you need to create a budget, you need to stick with a plan, and there is so much research in why you should pay off debt while also saving for your retirement. So yes, this also applies to you. And so the fourth step to building a solid retirement in your 30s and 40s is to have a solid emergency fund. And I know that a lot of people talk about having 3 to 6 months of your expenses set aside for emergencies. And so because this video is focused on retirement, I challenge you to think about your emergency fund in terms of retirement. And so instead of thinking of emergency fund as a short-term savings account for immediate emergencies, think of your emergency fund as a long-term savings account for those emergencies that you can't foresee. For example, healthcare expenses in retirement are very, very expensive. So as we age, our medical expenses tend to get more and more expensive. And so don't you think it might be a great idea to start planning for those medical expenses for the future now? If we could somehow put our medical expenses savings in an investment account and have our compound interest help assist with the high expenses of our medical expenses for the future, doesn't that sound like a good idea? And so when it comes to building a solid retirement account in your 30s and 40s, I personally think that it's a great idea to have two separate emergency funds, one for your 3 to 6 month emergency expenses that you might need short term, and then one for future expenses that you may need once you retire. So that retirement emergency fund, you can save that in a brokerage account, but you also can save it in an HSA account. So an HSA account is a health savings account that you can actually roll over year after year. And so it's a little different from the flexible savings account, which you have to use that money by the end of each calendar year. So what makes the HSA account so awesome is that when you put money into the account, you can actually invest it. And so with the use of compound interest, if you don't use the money for medical expenses now, you can use it for very expensive medical expenses in the future when you retire. So HSA accounts are kind of tricky. Everyone isn't eligible for them, but that's something that's very individualized. So you would have to check with your insurance company to see if you can enroll in an HSA account if you choose to do so during the next open season. But like I said, if you're not eligible for an HSA account, you can definitely choose to have your long-term emergency fund in a brokerage account that you use once you're closer to retirement. If you're interested, I did do a video on top expenses for people in retirement. I'll go ahead and put it here so that you can check that out so you can properly plan for your emergency fund. So last but not least, step number 5 is to have a strategy. So everyone's retirement is going to look different. Something that may be important to person A may not be important to person B. Person A may have kids that they want to leave money to. Person B may want to ball till they drop and not want to leave anything to their family. So you definitely have to have a strategy. I encourage you to write it down and make sure that you're sticking to the plan. Also, don't be afraid to revise your strategy. I think it's definitely important that you relook at your strategy on an annual basis. Things change, things pop up. Maybe your account is doing really, really great with these particular, investments that you have, or maybe it's not doing so great. So definitely don't be afraid to look at your accounts, revise your strategy as necessary. And above everything else, just remember, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Alright guys, so that wraps it up for the 5 steps that you need in order to build a solid retirement in your 30s and 40s, or wherever you may be in your retirement planning. As always, if you enjoyed this video even a little bit, please make sure to give me a thumbs up so this video can be pushed out to a larger audience. Consider subscribing to my channel so that you can be notified of when I make future videos. Also, if you really enjoyed this video and you would like to contribute to my Buy Me a Coffee fund, I'll leave the link down below so you can check that out. Alright you guys, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.